Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Live studios here in ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Ashram. And we have an honored guest today, Adi Karta Prabhu, my godbrother, who is an old-time friend and experienced book distributor and maker of devotees. So when it comes time to have the reflections, we pray that he will be reflecting for us and giving us the truth. Hare Krishna. Hari. Welcome to everyone out in cyberspace. We're a little late. Don't mind. So first of all, let's read Sanatana Goswami's prayer to the Srimad-Bhagavatam. We do this every day, as all of you know. It goes like this. Sarva Shastra Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of light to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad-Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwandodita Ditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadaya Te Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Mad Mahadana Mannistada Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin adini chutata kada hanamun chagada chinvam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 All right, here we are. We've reached the 20th chapter of the 3rd canto. We've heard about the destruction of Hiranyaksha by Lord Varaha. And this is in the context of a conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. Maitreya is answering the questions of Vidura, and now we've reached the 20th chapter, which is entitled Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. So this conversation is going on. Text 1. Sri Shaunaka inquired, O Sutta Goswami, after the earth was again situated in its orbit, what did Swayambhuva Manu do to show the path of liberation to persons who were to take birth later on? Purport. The appearance of the Lord as the first Boar incarnation occurred during the time of Swayambhuva Manu, whereas the present age is in the period of Vaivasvata Manu. Each Manu's period lasts 22 times the cycle of 4 ages, 71, Each Manu's period lasts 72 times the cycle of 4 ages, and one cycle of ages equals 4,320,000 solar years. Thus, 4,320,000 times 72 solar years is the reign of one Manu. In each Manu's period, there are many changes in many ways, and there are 14 Manus within one day of Brahma. It is understood here that Manu creates scriptural regulations for the salvation of the conditioned souls who come to the material world for material enjoyment. The Lord is so kind that any soul who wants to enjoy in this material world is given full facility for enjoyment, and at the same time he is shown the path of salvation. Shonaka Rishi therefore inquired from Sutta Goswami, what did Swayambhuva Manu do after the reinstatement of the earth in its orbital situation? Text 2. Shonaka Rishi inquired about Vidura, who was a great devotee and a friend of Lord Krishna, who gave up the company of his elder brother because the latter, along with his sons, played tricks against the desires of the Lord. Purport. The incident referred to here is that Vidura left the protection of his elder brother Dhritarashtra, went traveling everywhere to sacred places, and met Maitreya at Hardwar. Shonaka Rishi here inquires about the topics of the conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura. Vidura's qualification was that he was not only a friend of the Lord, but also a great devotee. When Krishna tried to stop the war and mitigate the understanding between the cousin brothers, they refused to accept his counsel. Therefore, Chata, or Vidura, was unsatisfied with them, and he left the palace. As a devotee, Vidura showed by example that anywhere that Krishna is not honored is a place unfit for human habitation. A devotee may be tolerant regarding his own interests, but he should not be tolerant when there is misbehavior toward the Lord or the Lord's devotee. Here the word agavan is very significant, for it indicates that the Kauravas, Dhritarashtra's sons, lost the war because of being sinful in disobeying the instructions of Krishna. Text 3. Vidura was born from the body of Veda Vyas and was not less than he. Thus he accepted the lotus feet of Krishna wholeheartedly and was attached to his devotees. Purport. The history of Vidura is that he was born of a Shudra mother, but his seminal father was Vyasadeva. Thus, he was not less than Vyasadeva in any respect. Since he was born of a great father, who was supposed to be an incarnation of Narayana, and who composed all the Vedic literatures, Vidura was also a great personality. He accepted Krishna as his worshipable Lord and followed his instructions wholeheartedly. Text 4. Vidura was purified of all passion by wandering in sacred places, and at last he reached Hardwar, where he met the great sage who knew the science of spiritual life and inquired from him. Shonaka Rishi therefore asked, what more did Vidura inquire from Maitreya? Purport. Here the words Virajas Tirtha Sevaya refer to Vidura, who was completely cleansed of all contamination by traveling to places of pilgrimage. In India, there are hundreds of sacred places of pilgrimage, of which Prayag, Hardwar, Vrindavan, and Rameshwaram are considered principal. After leaving his home, which was full of politics and diplomacy, Vidura wanted to purify himself by traveling to all these sacred places, which are so situated that anyone who goes there automatically becomes purified. This is especially true in Vrindavan. Any person may go there, and even if he is sinful, he will at once turn down the sound. Turn down the sound. Just turn it down. There you go, all the way down. Well, that's the way it is. That's the way it goes. Vidura wanted to purify, let me see. After leaving his home, which was full of politics and diplomacy, Vidura wanted to purify himself by traveling to all the sacred places, which are so situated that anyone who goes there automatically becomes purified. This is especially true in Vrindavan. Any person may go there, and even if he is sinful, he will at once contact an atmosphere of spiritual life and will automatically chant the names of Radha, Krishna and Radha. That we have actually seen and experienced. It is recommended in the Shastras that after retiring from active life and accepting the Vanaprastha, retired order, one should travel everywhere to places of pilgrimage in order to purify himself. Vidura completely discharged this duty, and at last he reached Kushavarta, or Hardwar, where the sage Maitreya was sitting. Another significant point is that one must go to a sacred place, not only to take bath there, but to search out great sages like Maitreya and take instructions from them. If one does not do so, his traveling to places of pilgrimage is simply a waste of time. Narottam Das Thakur, the great Acharya of the Vaishnava sect, has for the present forbidden us to go to such places of pilgrimage because in this age, the times having so changed, a sincere person may be given a different impression on seeing the behavior of the present residents of the pilgrimage sites. Whoa! He has recommended that instead of taking the trouble of travel to such places, one should concentrate his mind on Govinda, and that will help him. I feel a little justified for my not going very many places anymore, even though I'm here in the Dham. Of course, to concentrate one's mind on Govinda in any place is a path meant for those who are the most spiritually advanced. It is not for ordinary persons. Ordinary persons may still derive benefit from traveling to holy places like Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, and Hardwar. It is recommended in this verse that one find a person who knows the science of God, or Tattvavit. Tattvavit means one who knows the absolute truth. There are many pseudo-transcendentalists, even at places of pilgrimage. Such men are always present, and one has to be intelligent enough to find the actual person to be consulted. When one's attempt to progress by traveling to different holy places, then one's attempt to progress by traveling to different holy places will be successful. One has to be freed from all contamination, and at the same time, he has to find a person who knows the science of Krishna. Krishna helps a sincere person, as stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Guru Krishna Prasade. By the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna, one attains the path of salvation, devotional service. If one sincerely searches for spiritual salvation, then Krishna, being situated in everyone's heart, gives him the intelligence to find a suitable spiritual master. By the grace of a spiritual master like Maitreya, one gets the proper instruction and advances in the spiritual life. Text 5. Shonaka inquired about the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. There must have been many narrations of the spotless pastimes of the Lord. The hearing of such narrations is exactly like bathing in the water of the river Ganges, for it can free one from all sinful reactions. Purport: the water of the Ganges is purified because it pours forth from the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is as good as the water of the Ganges because it is spoken from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. So it is with any topic on the pastimes of the Lord or the characteristics of his transcendental activities. The Lord is absolute. There is no difference between his words, his perspiration, or his pastimes. The water of the Ganges, the narrations of his pastimes, and the words spoken by him are all on the absolute platform, and thus taking shelter of any one of them is equally good. Srila Rupa Goswami has enunciated that anything in relationship with Krishna is on the transcendental platform. If we can dovetail all our activities in relationship with Krishna, then we do not stand on the material platform, but always on the spiritual platform. Text 6. O Sutta Goswami, all good fortune to you. Please narrate the activities of the Lord, which are all magnanimous and worth glorifying. What sort of devotee can be satiated by hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord? Purport. The narration of the pastimes of the Lord, which are all enacted on the transcendental platform, should be received with all respect by devotees. Those who are actually on the transcendental platform are never satiated by hearing the continuous narration of the pastimes of the Lord. For example, if any self-realized soul reads from Bhagavad Gita, he will never feel satiated. The narrations of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam may be read thousands and thousands of times, and still, without fail, new aspects of the subject matter will be relished by the devotees. Text 7. On being asked to speak by the great sages of Naimisharanya, the son of Ramaharshana, Sutta Goswami, whose mind was absorbed in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, said, "Please hear what I shall now speak." Sutta Goswami continued, Vidura, the descendant of Bharata, was delighted to hear the story of the Lord, who, having assumed by his own divine potency the form of a boar, had enacted the sport of lifting the earth from the bottom of the ocean and indifferently killing the demon Hiranyaksha. Vidura then spoke to the sage as follows. Purport. It is stated here that the Lord assumed the form of a boar by his own potency. His form is not actually the form of a conditioned soul. A conditioned soul is forced to accept a particular type of body by the higher authority of material laws. But here it is clearly said that the Lord was not forced to accept the form of a boar by the external power. In Bhagavad Gita, the same fact is confirmed. When the Lord descends to this earth, he assumes a form by his own internal potency. The form of the Lord, therefore, can never consist of material energy. The Mayavad version that when Brahman assumes the form of the Lord is accepted. The Mayavad version that when Brahman assumes a form, the form is accepted from Maya, is not acceptable, because although Maya is superior to the conditioned soul, she is not superior to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She is under the control of the Supreme Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya is under his superintendence. Maya cannot overcome the Lord. The Mayavad idea that the living entity is the Supreme Absolute Truth, but has become covered by Maya, is invalid, because Maya cannot be so great that it can cover the Supreme. The covering capacity may be employed on the part and parcel of Brahman, not on the Supreme Brahman. Text 9. Vidura said, "Since you know of matters inconceivable to us, tell me, O holy sage, what did Brahma do to create living beings after evolving the Prajapatis, the progenitors of living beings?" Purport. Significant here is the word avyakta margavit, one who knows that which is beyond our perception. To know matters beyond one's perception, one has to learn from a superior authority in the line of disciplic succession. Just to know who is our father is beyond our perception. For that, the mother is the authority. Similarly, we have to understand everything beyond our perception from the authority who actually knows. The first avyakta margavit, or authority, is Brahma, and the next authority in disciplic succession is Narada. Maitreya Rishi belongs to that disciplic succession So he is also avyakta margavit. Anyone in the bona fide line of disciplic succession is avyakta margavit, a personality who knows that which is beyond ordinary perception. Text 10. Vidura inquired, how did the Prajapatis, such progenitors of living entities as Marichi and Swayambhuva Manu, create according to the instruction of Brahma, and how did they evolve this manifested universe? Text 11. Did they evolve the creation in conjunction with their respective wives? Did they remain independent in their action, or did they all jointly produce it? Text 12. Maitreya said, when the equilibrium of the combination of the three modes of nature was agitated by the unseen activity of the living entity, by Mahavishnu, and by the force of time, the total material elements were produced. Purport. The cause of the material creation is described here very lucidly. The first cause is Daiva, or the destiny of the conditioned soul. The material creation exists for the conditioned soul who wanted to become a false lord for sense enjoyment. One cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over material nature, but in Vedic literature, we always find that the material creation is meant for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. There is a nice verse which says that the sum and substance of the conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord, he creates an atmosphere of sense enjoyment which is called Maya. That is the cause of material creation. Another word used here is durvitarkena. One can argue about when and how the conditioned soul became desirous of sense enjoyment, but the cause is there. Material nature is an atmosphere meant only for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul, and it is created by the personality of Godhead. It is mentioned here that in the beginning of the creation, the material nature, or Prakriti, is agitated by the personality of Godhead Vishnu. There are three Vishnus mentioned. One is Mahavishnu, another is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and the third is Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. The first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam discusses all these three Vishnus, and here also it is confirmed that Vishnu is the cause of creation. From Bhagavad Gita also, we learn that Prakriti begins to work and is still working under Krishna's or Vishnu's glance of superintendence. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unchangeable. One should not mistakenly think that because the creation emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has therefore transformed into this material cosmic manifestation. He exists in his personal form always, but the cosmic manifestation takes place by his inconceivable potency. The workings of that energy are difficult to comprehend, but it is understood from Vedic literature that the conditioned soul creates his own destiny and is offered a particular body by the laws of nature under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always accompanies him as Paramatma. Text 13. As impelled by the destiny of the jiva, the false ego, which is of three kinds, evolved from the Mahatattva, in which the element of rajas predominates. From the ego, in turn, evolved many groups of 5 principles. Purport. The primordial matter, or Prakriti, material nature, consisting of 3 modes, generates 4 groups of 5. The first group is called elementary and consists of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The second group of 5 is called tanmatra, referring to the subtle elements, sense objects, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. The third group is the 5 sense organs for acquiring knowledge: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The 4th group is the 5 working senses: speech, hands, feet, anus, and genitals. Some say that there are 5 groups of 5. One group is the sense objects, one is the 5 elements, one is the 5 sense organs for acquiring knowledge, another is the senses for working, and the 5th group is the 5 deities who control these divisions. Text 14. Separately unable to produce the material universe, they combined with the help of the energy of the Supreme Lord and were able to produce a shining egg. Text 15. For over 1,000 years, the shining egg lay in the waters of the causal ocean in a lifeless state. Then the Lord entered it as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. From this verse it appears that all the universes are floating in the causal ocean. Text 16. How are we doing on a recording? We're okay? It's okay?
Yeah.
We're monitoring, through a monitor to make sure that we don't make a mistake and not stop when we lose our transmission.
Is this your official reading for the BBT?
No, this is separate. This is different. Yeah. Translation. Text 16. From the navel of the personality of Godhead, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, sprouted a lotus flower, effulgent like 1,000 blazing suns. This lotus flower is the reservoir of all conditioned souls, and the first living entity who came out of the lotus flower was the omnipotent Brahma. Purport. It appears from this verse that the conditioned souls who rested within the body of the personality of Godhead after the dissolution of the last creation came out in the sum total form of the lotus. This is called Hiranyagarbha. The first living entity to come out was Lord Brahma, who was independently able to create the rest of the manifested universe. Here the lotus is said to be as effulgent as the glare of 1,000 suns. This indicates that the living entities as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord are also of the same quality, since the Lord also diffuses his bodily glare known as Brahmajyoti. The description of Vaikuntha Loka, as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures, is confirmed herewith. In Vaikuntha, the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, electricity, or fire. Every planet there is self-effulgent, like the sun. Text 17. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is lying on the Garbhodaka ocean, entered the heart of Brahma, Brahma brought his intelligence to bear, and with the intelligence he invoked, he began to create the universe as it was before. Purport. At a certain time, the personality of Godhead, Karnadakashaya Vishnu, lies in the Karna ocean and produces many thousands of universes from his breathing. Then he enters again into each and every universe as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and fills up half of each universe with his own perspiration. The other half of the universe remains vacant, and that vacant region is called outer space. Then the lotus flowers, there you go. Did it stop?
No, we did.
We're good. It seemed like last time it stopped when we got one of those notices
Well,
from
we're still live.
Still live. Okay. Purport. Let me see, where are we? Yeah, I'll start again. When we get a message like that, maybe we should turn the sound down so it doesn't.
Turn the notifications
Yeah. Well, we started it up again. Maybe we need to turn off the notifications again. Okay, purport, text 17. At a certain time, our technological department is trying to make sure we don't, the last couple of nights we've had some technical difficulties. We're trying to clean up our act, so to speak. Purport. At a certain time, the personality of Godhead, Karnadakashai Vishnu, lies in the Karna ocean and produces many thousands of universes from his breathing. Then he enters again into each and every universe as Garbhodakashai Vishnu and fills up half of each universe with his own perspiration. The other half of the universe remains vacant, and that vacant region is called outer space. Then the lotus flower sprouts from his abdomen and produces the first living creature, Brahma. Then again, as Kshirodakashai Vishnu, the Lord enters into the heart of every living entity, including Brahma. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. The Lord says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and by me are remembrance and forgetfulness made possible. As the witness of the activities of the individual entities, the Lord gives each one remembrance and intelligence to act according to his desire at the time he was annihilated in his last birth in the last millennium. This intelligence is invoked according to one's capacity or by the law of karma. Brahma was the first living entity, and he was empowered by the Supreme Lord to act in charge of the emotive passion. Therefore, he was given the required intelligence, which is so powerful and extensive that he is almost independent of the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as a highly posted manager is almost as independent as the owner of a firm, Brahma is described here as independent because as the Lord's representative to control the universe, he is almost as powerful and independent as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord, as the Supersoul within Brahma, gave him the intelligence to create. The creative power, therefore, of every living entity is not his own. It is by the grace of the Lord that one can create There are many scientists and great workers in this material world who have wonderful creative force, but they act and create only according to the direction of the Supreme Lord. A scientist may create many wonderful inventions by the direction of the Lord, but it is not possible for him to overcome the stringent laws of material nature by his intelligence, nor is it possible to acquire such intelligence from the Lord, for the Lord's supremacy would then be hampered. It is stated in this verse that Brahma created the universe as it was before. This means that he created everything by the same name and form as in the previous cosmic manifestation. Text 18. First, Brahma created from his shadow the coverings of ignorance of the conditioned souls. They are 5 in number and are called Tamisra, Andha-tamisra, Tamas, Moha, and Maha-moha. Purport. The conditioned souls are living entities who come to the material world to enjoy sense gratification are covered in the beginning by 5 different conditions. The first condition is a covering of tamisra, or anger. Constitutionally, each and every living entity has minute independence. It is misuse of that minute independence for the conditioned soul to think that he can also enjoy like the Supreme Lord, or to think, why shall I not be a free enjoyer like the Supreme Lord? This forgetfulness of his constitutional position is due to anger or envy. The living entity, being eternally a part and parcel servitor of the Supreme Lord, can never, by constitution, be an equal enjoyer with the Lord. When he forgets this, however, he tries to be one with him. When he forgets this, however, and tries to be one with him, his condition is called tamisra. Even in the field of spiritual realization, this tamisra mentality, even in the field of spiritual realization, this tamisra mentality of the living entity is hard to overcome. In trying to get out of the entanglement of material life, there are many who want to be one with the Supreme. Even in their transcendental activities, this lower grade mentality of tamisra continues. Andhatamisra involves considering death to be the ultimate end. The atheists think that the body is the self, and that everything is therefore ended with the end of the body. Thus they want to enjoy material life as far as possible during the existence of the body. Their theory is, as long as you live, you should live prosperously. Never mind whether you commit all kinds of so-called sins. You must eat sumptuously, beg, borrow, and steal. And if you think that by stealing and borrowing you are being entangled in sinful activities for which you will have to pay, then just forget that misconception, because after death, everything is finished. No one is responsible for anything he does during his life. This atheistic conception of life is killing human civilization, for it is without knowledge of the continuation of eternal life. This andhatamisra ignorance is due to tamas. The condition of not knowing anything about the spirit soul is called tamas. This material world is also generally called tamas because 99% of its living entities are ignorant of their identity as soul. Almost everyone is thinking that he is this body. He has no information of the spirit soul. Guided by this misconception, one always thinks, this is my body, and anything in relationship with this body is mine. For such misguided living entities, sex life is the background of material existence. Actually, the conditioned souls in ignorance in this material world are simply guided by sex life. And as soon as they get the opportunity for sex life, they become attached to so-called home, motherland, children, wealth, and opulence. As these attachments increase, moha, or the illusion of the bodily concept of life, also increases. Thus the idea that I am this body and everything belonging to this body is mine also increases. And as the whole world is put into moha, sectarian societies, families, and nationalities are created, and they fight with one another. Mahamoha means to be mad after sense enjoyment. Especially in this age of Kali, everyone is overwhelmed by the madness to accumulate paraphernalia for material enjoyment. These definitions are very nicely given in Vishnu Purana, wherein it is said, Tamo viveko mohad syad antat karanavid brahmaha maha mohastu bigyeyo gramya boga sukhaishana maranam yandatamisram tamisram krodha uchate avidya panchaparvaisha pradurbuddha mahatmanaha. Text 19. Out of disgust, Brahma threw off the body of ignorance, and taking this opportunity, Yakshas and Rakshasas sprang for possession of the body, which continued to exist in the form of night. Night is the source of hunger and thirst. Text 20. Overpowered by hunger and thirst, they ran to devour Brahma from all sides and cried, "Spare him not! Eat him up!" Purport. The representatives of the Yakshas and Rakshasas still exist in some countries of the world. It is understood that such uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers and holding a love feast by roasting the bodies. Text 21. Translation. Brahma, the head of the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, "Do not eat me, but protect me. You were born from me and have become my sons. Therefore you are yakshas and rakshasas." Purport. The demons who were born from the body of Brahma were called yakshas and rakshasas because some of them cried that Brahma should be eaten and the others cried that he should not be protected. The ones who said that he should be eaten were called yakshas, and the one who said that he should not be protected became rakshasas, man-eaters. The two, yakshas and rakshasas, are the original creation of Brahma and are represented even until today in the uncivilized men who are scattered all over the universe. They are born of the mode of ignorance, and therefore, because of their behavior, they are called rakshasas, or man-eaters. Text 22. He then created the chief demigods, who were shining with the glory of goodness. He dropped before them the effulgent form of daytime, and the demigods sportingly took possession of it. Purport. Demons are born from the creation of night, and the demigods were born from the creation of day. In other words, demons like the yakshas and rakshasas are born of the quality of ignorance, and demigods are born of the quality of goodness. Text 23. Lord Brahma then gave birth to the demons from his buttocks, and they were very fond of sex. Because they were too lustful, they approached him for copulation. Purport. Sex life is the background of material existence. Here also it is repeated that demons are very fond of sex life. The more one is free from the desires for sex, the more he is promoted to the level of the demigods. The more one is inclined to enjoy sex, the more he is degraded to the level of demoniac life. Text 24. The worshipful Brahma first laughed at their stupidity, but finding the shameless asuras close upon him, he grew indignant and ran in great haste out of fear. Purport. Sexually inclined demons have no respect even for their father, and the best policy for a saintly father like Brahma is to leave such demoniac sons. Text 25. He approached the personality of Godhead, who bestows all boons and who dispels the agony of his devotees and of those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He manifests his innumerable transcendental forms for the satisfaction of his devotees. Purport. Hear the words Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam mean that the personality of Godhead manifests his multi-forms according to the desires of the devotees. For example, Hanumanji, Vajranangaji wanted to see the form of the Lord as the personality of Godhead Ramachandra, whereas other Vaishnavas want to see the form of Radha Krishna, and still other devotees want to see the Lord in the form of Lakshmi Narayana. The Mayavadi philosophers think that although all these forms are assumed by the Lord, just as the devotees desire to see him, actually he is impersonal. From the Brahma Samhita, however, we can understand that this is not so, for the Lord has multi-forms. It is said in the Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam. The Lord does not appear before the devotee because of the devotee's imagination. Brahma Samhita further explains that the Lord has innumerable forms, Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan. He exists in millions and millions of forms. There are 8,400,000 species of living entities but the incarnations of the Supreme Lord are innumerable. In the Bhagavatam it is stated that as the waves in the sea cannot be counted but appear and disappear continually, the incarnations and forms of the Lord are innumerable. A devotee is attached to a particular form, and it is that form that he worships. We have just described the first appearance of the boar within this universe. There are innumerable universes, and somewhere or other, the boar form is now existing. All the forms of the Lord are eternal. It is the devotee's inclination to worship a particular form, and he engages in devotional service to that form. In a verse of the Ramayana, Hanuman, the great devotee of Rama, said, "I know that there is no difference between the Sita Rama and Lakshmi Narayana forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but nevertheless, the form of Rama and Sita has absorbed my affection and love. Therefore I want to see the forms of Rama and Sita." Similarly, in Gaudiya Vaishnava, the Gaudiya Vaishnava loves the forms of Radha and Krishna and Rukmini and Dwarka. The words Bhaktanam Anurupat Vadarshanam mean that the Lord is always pleased to favor the devotee in the particular form in which the devotee wants to worship and render service unto him. In this verse it is stated that Brahma approached Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This form of the Lord is Shrutakashayi Vishnu. Whenever there is some trouble and Brahma has to approach the Lord, he can approach Chirodakashayi Vishnu. And it is the grace of the Lord that whenever Brahma approaches about disturbances in the universe, the Lord gives him relief in so many ways. Text 26. Lord Brahma, approaching the Lord, addressed him thus: "My Lord, please protect me from these sinful demons who were created by me under your order. They are infuriated by an appetite for sex and have come to attack me." Purport: it appears here that the homosexual appetite for males for each other is created in this episode of the creation of the demons by Brahma. In other words, the homosexual appetite of a man for another man is demoniac and is not for any sane male in the ordinary course of life. 27. My Lord, you are the only one capable of ending the affliction of the distressed and inflicting agony on those who never resort to your feet. Purport: the Lord's kleshadas teisham anasanapadam tava indicate that the Lord has two concerns. The first is to give protection to persons who take shelter of his lotus feet, and the second is to give trouble to those who are always demoniac and who are inimical toward the Lord. Maya's function is to give afflictions to the non-devotees. Here Brahma said, "You are the protector of the surrendered souls. Therefore I surrender unto your lotus feet. Please give me protection from these demons." Text 28. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, "Cast off this impure body of yours." Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. Purport: the Lord is described here by the word Vibhikta Dhyatma Darshana. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so happens that his friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he is suffering. But for the Supreme Lord, it is not difficult. The Supreme Lord is Paramatma, is sitting within the heart of every living entity, and he directly perceives the exact causes of distress. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, "Sarvasya chaham hridi sanabhishtam." I am sitting in everyone's heart, and because of me, one's remembrance and forgetfulness occur. Thus, whenever one fully surrenders under the Supreme Lord, one finds that He is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction how to get out of dangers or how to approach Him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demoniac principle. According to Sridhar Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma give up a particular mentality. Mind is the subtle body of the living entity. We may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful, but if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said that we give up the body. Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should also be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends on the mental status of his parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the Garbhadana Sanskara, or the ceremony for giving birth to a child, is observed. Before begetting a child, one has to sanctify his perplexed mind. When the parents engage their minds in the lotus feet of the Lord, and in such a state the child is born, naturally good devotee children come. When the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities. 742. Just one second, I got a message over here. She says the live reading is stopped. That's Radhananda. What?
Hold up. Let me refresh my page. We're still live?
Yeah, well, could it be that something else is?
No, I'm watching you type right now.
Oh, okay. That's pretty convincing. Anyway, what can we do? All you can do is all you can do. Is all you can do is enough. Right?
That's right.
Okay. So I was writing a little message to Radhananda, who was saying that the transmission has stopped, but according to our monitor over here it hasn't, so we're going to continue.
It's working for Roddy, and Prabhupada Priya says it's working for her as well.
Okay, so I'm going to say that to her also. Sorry for the little interruption, folks. Oh, she said it is back now. Okay, here we go. Text 29, moving right along. The body given up by Brahma took the form of the evening twilight, when the day and night meet, a time which kindles passion. The asuras, who were passionate by nature, dominated as they are by the element of rajas, took it for a damsel whose lotus feet resounded with the tinkling of anklets, whose eyes were wide with intoxication, and whose hips were covered by fine cloth, over which shone a girdle Purport. As early morning is the period for spiritual cultivation, the beginning of evening is the period for passion. Demoniac men are generally very fond of sex enjoyment. Therefore, they very much appreciate the approach of evening. The demons took the approach of the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, and they began to adore her in various ways. They imagined the twilight to be a very beautiful woman with tinkling bangles on her feet, a girdle on her hips, and beautiful breasts, and for their sexual satisfaction, they imagined the appearance of this beautiful girl before them. Text 30. Her breasts projected upward because of their clinging to each other, and they were too contiguous to admit any intervening space. She had a shapely nose and beautiful teeth. A lovely smile played on her lips, and she cast a sportful glance at the asuras. Text 31. Adorned with dark tresses, she hid herself, as it were, out of shyness. Upon seeing that girl, the asuras were all infatuated with the appetite for sex. Purport. The difference between demons and demigods is that a beautiful woman very easily attracts the minds of demons, but she cannot attract the mind of a godly person. A godly person is full of knowledge, and a demoniac person is full of ignorance. Just as a child is attracted by a beautiful doll, similarly, a demon who is less intelligent and full of ignorance is attracted by material beauty and an appetite for sex. The godly person knows that this nicely dressed and ornamented attraction of high breasts, high hips, beautiful nose, and fair complexion is Maya. All the beauty a woman can display is only a combination of flesh and blood. Sri Shankaracharya has advised all persons not to be attracted by the interaction of flesh and blood. They should be attracted by the real beauty in spiritual life. The real beauty is Krishna and Radha. One who is attracted by the beauty of Radha and Krishna cannot be attracted by the false beauty of this material world. That is the difference between a demon and a godly person or devotee. Text 32. The demons praised her. Oh, what a beauty! What rare self-control! What a budding youth! In the midst of all of us who are passionately longing for her, she is moving about like one absolutely free from passion. Text 33. Indulging in various speculations about the evening twilight, which appeared to them endowed with the form of a young woman, the wicked-minded asuras treated her with respect and fondly spoke to her as follows. Who are you, O pretty girl? Whose wife or daughter are you? And what can be the object of your appearing before us? Why do you tantalize us, unfortunate as we are, with the priceless commodity of your beauty? Purport. The mentality of the demons is being enamored. The mentality of the demons in being enamored with the false beauty of this material world is expressed herein. The demoniac can pay any price for the skin beauty of this material world. They work very hard all day and night, but the purpose of their hard work is to enjoy sex life. Sometimes they misrepresent themselves as karma yogis, not knowing the meaning of the word yoga. Yoga means to link up with the Supreme Personality of Godhead or to act in Krishna consciousness. A person who works very hard, no matter in what occupation, and who offers the results of the work to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is called a karma yogi. Whoever you may be, O beautiful girl, we are fortunate in being able to see you. While playing with a ball, you have agitated the minds of all onlookers. Purport. Demons arrange many kinds of performances to see the glaring beauty of a beautiful woman. Here it is stated that they saw the girl playing with the ball. Sometimes the demoniac arranged for so-called sports, like tennis, with the opposite sex. The purpose of such sporting is to see the bodily construction of the beautiful girl and to enjoy a subtle sex mentality. This demoniac sex mentality of material enjoyment is sometimes encouraged by so-called yogis who encourage the public to enjoy sex life in different varieties and at the same time advertise that if one meditates on a certain manufactured mantra, one can become God within 6 months. The public wants to be cheated, and Krishna therefore creates such cheaters to misrepresent and delude. These so-called yogis are actually enjoyers of the world, garbed as yogis. Bhagavad Gita, however, recommends that if one wants to enjoy life, then it cannot be with these gross senses. A patient is advised by the experienced physician to refrain from ordinary enjoyment while in the diseased condition. A diseased person cannot enjoy anything. He has to restrain his enjoyment in order to get rid of the disease. Similarly, our material condition is a diseased condition. If one wants to enjoy real sense enjoyment, then one must get free from the entanglement of material existence. In spiritual life, we can enjoy sense enjoyment which has no end. The difference between material and spiritual enjoyment is that material enjoyment is limited. Even if a man engages in material sex enjoyment, he cannot enjoy it for long. But when the sex enjoyment is given up, then one can enter spiritual life, which is unending. In the Bhagavatam 5.5.1 it is stated that Brahma Saukya, spiritual happiness, is ananta, unending. Foolish creatures are enamored with the beauty of matter and think that the enjoyment it offers is real, but actually that is not real enjoyment. Text 36. O beautiful woman, when you strike the bouncing ball against the ground with your hand again and again, your lotus feet do not stay in one place. Oppressed by the weight of your full-grown breast, your waist becomes fatigued, and your clear vision grows dull, as it were. Pray, braid your comely hair. Purport. The demon observed beautiful gestures in the woman's every step. Here they praise her full-grown breasts, her scattered hair, and her movements in stepping forward and backward while playing with the ball. In every step they enjoy her womanly beauty, and while they enjoy her beauty, their minds become agitated by sex desire. As moths at night surround a fire and are killed, so the demons become victims of the movements of the ball-like breasts of a beautiful woman. The scattered hair of a beautiful woman also afflicts the heart of the lusty demon. Text 37. The Asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman, showing herself in her alluring form, and they seized her. Purport. The Asuras are described here as mudha diya, meaning that they are captivated by ignorance, just like the ass. The demons were captivated by the false, glaring beauty of this material form, and thus they embraced her. So we'll stop here. We've been going for a little more than an hour, and we will change channels to reflections. So if there's anything that stuck out in your mind of the readings that you want to reflect about, realizations that you've had, or even questions that you might have had, please feel free. Hopefully we're still online. It seems like we are. So anybody out there who wants to give us the benefit of your company, and here we have a great sage, Harikarta, in case he wants to give us an enlightenment. Bhakti Matt's over here also. Has been avidly reading since he got here. About a month ago.
Thinking was that
Adi Karta's got something. Go ahead, Adi.
in the purport Srila Prabhupada talks about somebody who takes vanaprastha, traveling around to the holy places.
Yeah.
And that is good. But then he says that it's hard to meet a saintly person at a holy place because there's a lot of bogus spiritualists. But then it's better to go preaching than because you're benefiting other people.
I hope everybody's listening to this. This is a sage speaker. Go ahead. This is one of the persons you're supposed to come and meet when you come to a holy place. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
Yeah, instead of going to holy places, it's better to go out preaching because you're not just benefiting yourself, you're benefiting the other people that you meet.
There you go.
And that gives you more satisfaction.
There you go.
Because that is the Anandam Bodhivardhanam, right? The ocean of the ever-increasing ocean of bliss, which Lord Chaitanya talks about in the first verse of the Shikshastakam. So the Sankirtan movement it's all about spreading Krishna consciousness, which is actually much more satisfying than just going to a holy place, I think. Although you can do both. You can go to holy places, but at the same time, you have to get purified going, and then that's why Prabhupada created Mayapur and the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, so devotees could come to India and come for a short visit and go back to preach in the West.
Do you remember those years, Adi? And when Mayapur and Krishna Balaram were still. We used to come, and we would just stay in the compound practically.
Yeah.
It wouldn't really go out, and now we're living here in Govardhan, and I have all these pictures on my wall. Some of them are seeing them on the back wall on the other side of my shoulder. But the fact is, I don't go to those places very much anymore. Because over the years, when we first started to go there, in the 70s and 80s, they weren't so, I don't know how to say this, but now the pandas and the people who were hawking for money and so many things, it wasn't so disrupting, it wasn't so, but now you go out there and it's like, it's like there's no holes barred, And even new devotees who come, they get accosted sometimes by these pandas and people, or people who are pretending to be saintly, and are just going to try to get your money or try to exploit you in some way. So I think that plays into it. The whole. Probably it's always been like that. The holy places have always been people like that, but now in Kali Yuga, it's becoming more and more like that. So I think that's another way of looking at what Prabhupada said. That it's a waste of time if you just go out there just to see the place and get disturbed by all these different things, rather than actually, it would be better than doing that when your mind is always disturbed and you can't concentrate on thinking about Krishna and enjoying Krishna's pastimes and so on and so forth. I mean, that's why the devotees go out in groups and have their yatras, and those are nice, because you're always going around and hearing the pastimes of Krishna. But at the same time, for me personally, now that I'm older, in my age, Prabhupada didn't go out so much. He went out and took everybody around Vrindavan, and it was ecstatic, of course. Prabhupada was telling the pastimes, and it was so ecstatic. But later on, like you said, when he went to the West and was traveling around preaching, that to him was more important.
He wanted to die on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Although he did want to go on parikrama around Govardhan in his last dying days.
Yes.
But he was dying and he wanted to be close to Govardhan because Govardhan's such a great devotee and none different from Krishna.
Yeah.
But he couldn't go to the West at that time, he couldn't preach. But he wanted to, be out there. He could have stayed in Vrindavan, it was a holy place, he could have just stayed here all the time.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to do that.
That's right.
He created Mayapur as a place to. We wanted a city there.
Yes. Yes.
But ultimately, Krishna consciousness has to be spread.
Yes.
And we've got to have places to bring people. I mean, if Mayapur develops into a beautiful city, a spiritual city where there's a lot of education. I mean, Prabhupada wanted to bring everybody to Mayapur.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think advanced devotees, they don't want to stay in one place. They want to travel around and spread the Lord's glories.
Yes. Well said, Adi. Well said. What else? What else? There's a reflection out there in cyberspace from
Prabhupada Priya.
Prabhupada Priya. Hey, Prabhupada Priya, Hare Krishna. She's in Mayapur, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, she says, related to what Adi Karta Prabhu said, recently I read in the 4th canto, 4.12.36, that Srila Prabhupada's formula for going back to Godhead is to engage oneself 24 hours a day in doing welfare activities for others, preaching Bhagavad Gita, and planning how to bring all humanity back to Godhead, or following someone who is doing that.
Well said. Thank you, Prabhupada Priya. Hare Krishna. And she's there studying the Bhagavatam like a transcendental maniac in a positive sense. So more power to you and more power to your endeavor. I think she's going to go back to she's going to go back. No, she's going to go back to Gainesville and take care of the devotees there, the new devotees there. That's really good.
Yeah, there's a few new girls.
Yeah. Okay, what else, everybody? We're getting past 8 o'clock. It's our bewitching time. We're going to turn into a pumpkin over here if we go too late. So we got a little late start, but still we got our reading and we got our hour of reading. Okay, if anybody else has anything, please let us know. Okay, Hare Krishna. So all glories to Lord Brahma for his devotional service of creating this universe so we could all come here and, try to enjoy and starting the Sampradaya so that we can get out of here as soon as possible. And all glories to all of you who tune in every night and or read at another time that's convenient for you, to stay in association with Srila Prabhupada and his profound teachings in his purports of Srimad-Bhagavatam and his exalted personality. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Haribol! Gaur Premanandi Hari Haribol!